I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the November 7th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Roll call, please.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
Morning, Judge Giletto.
Good morning.
You're up, ma'am.
Okay. Well, good morning to everyone, and thank you for the time that you're affording me this morning. As you are aware, we've been in discussions about trying to address the situation with the domestic relations court and the lack of appropriate space. We've been working on this close to now 4 years. I have provided a lot of information. In fact, I believe everything that's ever been asked of me and beyond. Supreme Court studies, spatial needs studies, took on a large portion of the juvenile court docket. And as you're aware, we didn't have space. So Judge Smith graciously offered to let us borrow a probate court magistrate's courtroom. She has reclaimed that. And so that will be, she has asked to reclaim that. I believe the date was January 20th. So yesterday, since I have not been presented with an option for space that is reasonable and comports with the studies that you have commissioned to be done. Yesterday, I sent an email off to Michelle. Michelle, did you have a chance to forward that?
I did.
Okay, so I thought I would try to give you a bit of a different perspective instead of just hearing my voice and the voice of the Supreme Court and the voice of the National Center for State Courts. So I gave you the voice of 4 practitioners in my court: Amanda Lewis, Jordan Knabb, Cecily Mullins, and Rob Rosenberg. Rob's been a lawyer. Actually, he recently retired. I did not ask them to put anything particular in their letters. I asked them to speak from their hearts, what their feelings were. And I'll be honest with you, when I read Attorney Rosenberg's letter, it moved me deeply. Have you had an opportunity to read all of the letters?
I have not.
Absolutely.
I did.
I don't like to surprise people. I don't think it's fair for people to walk into a situation and not know what might be coming at them. So that's why I gave you those letters last night. I'm a little disappointed. I understand time constraints, but this is a pretty impactful thing for the citizens of Portage County. The letters contained in that packet provide you with some insight between 2 lawyers who, absent the acts of one of those lawyers, someone would have gotten hurt in my courtroom. And there was a security guard on duty. There was a bailiff in my courtroom. But because of the spatial constraints, there's no way that bailiff would have been able to control the situation. So, I'm here today to ask you what your plan is for the Domestic Relations Court, because I haven't been given one. Do you have one?
Well, we've been, I know it doesn't feel like we've been, but we've been trying to search and trying to figure out what we can do besides commit to building a, say, 40,000 square foot building.
It's not a 40,000 square foot.
30,000 or 33,000. It's large, but I would think we would build it a little bit bigger or whatever. So we've been, Judge, we really have been, I know each one of us, I know Michelle has, we've looked all over the place. We've tried to come up with different solutions, and right now none of them seems conducive to that. We've got a couple options. With Judge Smith wanting to possibly move everything she has domestic out of the building.
She doesn't have domestic,
Or
Probate.
probate, excuse me.
which is in statutory violation, as you're aware. That would cause it. You'd have to get a change in the statute.
We've already looked into.
That's not hard to do,
Yeah, it's
though.
not that hard. That was because everybody has said that we did find out how can we do that in the request, and by what we've been told, it's not that difficult to be able to move her to finish that, so her stuff would be all out there, and we would have space then to remodel to right next to you on that floor. that would be one of the options that we would have. I right now don't have the appetite to build a building, whichever size that is, at the cost that is. I'll let Commissioner Tidland and Commissioner Bennett do it, give their opinion.
May I ask a question about the proposal that you, it's not a proposal, it's I think a thought you put on the table.
Yes.
Is the thought to build new construction out at the juvenile court to house on that space, to build a new court facility to house probate out there?
I don't believe that was, we have that location, number 2,
Give
the
the
domestic.
options.
I will actually hand those to you.
Oh, you have something for me to review?
You could, those are 2 of the options.
I believe it was a renovation
Yeah.
and a potential for a small add-on,
Yeah,
but
small
not
add-on.
a
A
completely.
new courthouse now.
That was one option.
And then we have option number 2.
2, yep.
You wanna read that?
Is option number 2 is relocate the domestic court and probate court to Infirmary Road, create a family court complex, which would require renovation, significance, and add-on the existing structure. Square footage would be increased a reasonable amount. So you have, that's what I handed you.
Have you made yourself familiar with the space study that you commissioned and paid for from the National Center for State Courts?
We all did. Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of what the recommendation is for the square footage for the domestic relations court functions?
Mhm.
Can you tell me what that is?
Not off the top of my head. I don't
can.
have that. Go ahead. It was 33,000 square feet.
Somewhere between 30 and
33,833 square feet.
And as I indicated in my letter, on April 24th, 2024, and during our meeting in May, quite frankly, to which I've not received a response, the size could be smaller based upon the configuration. The beautiful thing about the National Center for State Courts assessment is it broke down the space that each kind of component of the court would need. And so it afforded, I think, 5 courtrooms, but the space breakdown for clerks was identified, for mediation is identified, for court rooms, for court staffing, for an entranceway, for the HVAC room, for lobbies and whatnot. So obviously under your option 1, the square footage that would be afforded is 11,529 square feet, which I would suggest to you might not be accurate. We had a feasibility study done back in 2021. And at that point in time, there was a thought process of expanding over the existing parking area at the court. And then probate court the clerk would move upstairs, so probate court and clerk would be on the 3rd floor. The domestic relations court would be reallocated the space built out over the parking area, and the probate court clerk. That would have afforded us about 12,000 square feet for the domestic court functions. After the needs assessment but the commissioners elected not to proceed with that. And that cost would have been about $10 million. It would have band-aided, if you will, the domestic court issues, would have addressed Judge Smith's issues, would have addressed the sheriff's concerns with taking prisoners through public hallways. And so it would have done some things. But there was an election at that time not to proceed, and so we didn't. But it would have afforded us about 12,000 square feet, all on one level so we could be secured. This option 1 that you have provided me is less square footage, 11,529, which quite frankly I don't believe is accurate because the probate court area is 4,000 square feet. The probate clerk of courts is 1,860 square feet. And right now the space allocated to my court is about 4,500 square feet. So in any event, however the math is, the National Center for State Courts assessment indicated that the domestic court functions a reasonable and appropriate amount of space just for the court, not mediation, not the clerk, would be about 18,000 square feet. So your proposal, number one, would not be sufficient space, according to the study you have been provided. Reasonable space to keep folks safe, number one. Number two, it would involve the court being split between 2 floors with no secured access between the 2 floors for court staff, for litigants, which is one of the concerns also raised in the National Center for State Courts. And you just spent, hundreds of thousands of dollars renovating the probate clerk's office and the probate court's office, and that money would then, I guess, go to the wayside. So I guess I would humbly submit that option 1 would not afford the court reasonable, appropriate, and safe space. Option 2, certainly there would be some duplication of space that could save some space. But of the 33, let's say 30 to 33,000 square feet that would be needed, you would need probably an additional, even with the lobby and security maybe still being there, I'm gonna say you still need 25,000 square feet to accommodate the court, the clerk, and the mediation department. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you just spend $2 million renovating, I'm sorry, maybe $1,700,000-ish renovating juvenile court?
True.
Okay. So that would remove, if the build-on was done there, that would be brand new construction. I'm not aware of a vacancy of 25,000 square feet out there right now. Am I missing something?
Vacancy as in,
Open space? It'd
well,
be new
there's quite a bit of
construction.
open space out there.
You're saying
If you were to do that, there's a lot of space.
25,000 square feet?
To build, to space,
I'm sorry,
land to build?
we're not using the right term. I'm
Okay,
not using
alright.
the wrong term. I'm talking about existing structure built.
No.
So this
no.
would be new construction.
You would have to do, if we were to, option 2,
Make
if
the
we were to
family
do that.
court,
The
yeah.
family court, is that everybody were out there, both judges were out there, that would be new construction out there.
So we're back to a concept of new construction, which I'm pleased to hear that you're addressing. The idea of trying to separate out the domestic and family court issues from the juvenile detention type setting was to send a better message to families in Portage County. One of the impetuses behind the separation. So if we're looking at a construction, is there a reason that the construction makes sense there versus making sense anywhere more centrally located to the other services that the citizens of Portage County might need if they're in the domestic court?
I have an answer.
I believe the discussion was
Yeah.
that we already own the land
Mhm.
out at.
Yeah,
out
we
on
wanna utilize what we
Infirmary.
have.
That was what the.
And we're talking about Mr. Cole's stuff that
That's
there,
completely-
or we have the space where the parking lot is, F lot. Those,
The green space that's
This
completely
green space,
vacant
yeah.
right now, that the county already owns,
yeah.
right?
yeah,
That
so-
that would be utilizing space that
It would be,
the county
yeah.
owns. And then there's a parking lot right there,
Correct.
so you wouldn't need to build a parking lot.
From what I can see of everybody, nobody has an appetite right now of building that. I mean, these are options that we've come up with, and we know that you need space. We really truly do. We know that Judge Smith needs space. So I unfortunately, I'm gonna be gone for this next year coming up, but those are the things that we keep sorting out. The biggest option is hey, we have to build for domestic, we have to build a 33,000 square foot building, and there is no other option. And I know the three of us, we've included Michelle for fourth, looking for other options. And
Safe to say there's no options at this juncture that would be reasonable other than construction? And are you
that would be
at that
it.
point now?
And so we look at it for every option. Do we just move domestic? Do we build a courthouse that would house 2 judges, and then we remodel what we have there? And we're looking at what would be the best option for the county
Sure.
itself. And we haven't, I mean, we keep kicking around ideas, and my
Yeah.
thought would be is none of them would be conducive to your thought process that we've discussed of building a whatever that size is, 20 to 35,000 square feet building. So we keep looking at that, and
How
what would
long are you folks gonna look? Because pretty soon, I don't know how in good conscience I have been here for almost 4 years.
oh,
4
my
years.
whole time with you.
But
Yes.
none of our options are palatable to you, and this study.
No, Sabrina,
is-
let's not go down that path, because the options that you have provided me is a standalone building that was adjacent to other functions in downtown Ravenna that was 12,000 square feet. That's what you have offered me to go look through. What other options have you afforded me?
Well, we just gave you 2 here.
You gave me 2 here today that you could have given me last week, but elected to ambush me in this hearing and not give me any advanced notice. But that's okay, because I am committed to doing something for the citizens of Portage County that will let them be safe. They are not safe in my space,
We concur.
and it's going to get worse when I lose a courtroom. And I don't know how the commissioners are going to address that. Should we just rent a pod, maybe a flatbed, with a nice HVAC system, park it in the middle of the Sally Port so there can be some reasonable space for citizens to conduct their business in the domestic relations court? Because folks, I'm not hearing anything. A long time ago, you asked me what a short-term solution would be. And I told you there wasn't a short-term one that I could think of. The short-term answer is the long-term answer, which quite frankly, had we started this process in 2021 or 2022, we'd be done. The cost would have been half. People would be safe. I know this is a big ask. I do not take this lightly.
But Judge, I can't imagine the citizens in entirety wanting us to build a 33,000 square foot building for you.
Sabrina,
What
it's
other
not
judge-
me.
What other judge has that space?
Well, if you go to, first of all, I want
I'm just
you,
asking.
and I think you're
Tell me.
conflating me.
No, I'm not. I'm just
Yes,
asking.
you are, because-
I'm asking.
And I'm gonna give
I'm
you the
gonna
answer.
stop you. I just asked a simple question.
What you asked is, why would they build a building for me? You used the word me.
Because that's all it's ever been about, was
Oh.
Paula and her court. We're trying to work with you, and, you know, if we would have known assigning these cases to you was gonna create a 33,000 square foot brand new courthouse, I don't think we would have agreed to that.
So Sabrina, first of all, let me do a couple things. I'd like to correct you. This is not about me. You
Really?
may think
Okay,
this is about me. And I'd ask you if you could
okay.
hold your tongue as I held mine.
Oh, go ahead. Finish.
This is not about me.
Mm.
It's so difficult for you to hold your tongue, but again, I'll ask.
I didn't say a word.
This is about thousands of hearings a year involving families. This is about 4 judicial hearing officers. This is about a visiting judge that comes in. This is about the security of people and their families when they go through the most horrible time of their life, when they're scared, when they're afraid, when they're nervous, when they don't know what the outcome of their future looks like. If there was a reasonable space that you all could have purchased, that could have been renovated, Mike, I know you looked at a space, that would have been fine. You all came into my court, you weren't elected yet, Mike. Tony, you and Sabrina came in 2021. You can't barely fit your body between the table and the witness stand. So that's not about me. That's about the people who sit in those chairs. I gave you every piece of data you possibly could have had to know about the changing of the caseload. In fact, that's one of the impetuses, that you recognized my space before wasn't safe. The caseload has increased the frequency, Sabrina, but my courtrooms haven't magically gotten smaller just because I have more cases. They've always been that tight. So this isn't about me, and perhaps that's why your viewpoint is that it is, because you think it has something to do with me. It does not. That's number one. Number two, if you would go to Summit County, our lovely neighbor to the whatever direction that is, their county built a, oh boy, 1, 2, 3, it might be a 4-story building that is, ooh. There's 2 judges there, and I'm not sure, maybe 12 magistrates. And I want to say, I'm bad with square footage, but I'm gonna guess it's somewhere around 75,000 square feet.
Jog you just built.
Jog
big.
is just building on. Trumbull County, has a different jurisdictional setup. They have a very large standalone building. Delaware County has a standalone, very, very large standalone domestic relations court. I think Fairfield has a standalone court. I wasn't prepared to answer that question, but I can get you the data. So there are many counties that have standalone domestic relations court. I don't care if it was a standalone court. My first idea in 2021 was to build out over the parking deck. I'd happily stay in the building that we were in. That wasn't elected. I'm not opposed to thinking of ideas. I'm just asking for space, and we've now wasted 3.5, almost 4 years, and there's nothing on the horizon to address this issue. So I've had to Band-Aid things together, and what you've given me today about moving out to juvenile court, sure, I'm happy to think about it. It's new construction, so I'm just asking that if that's the way we're gonna go, I don't understand why building the same size structure on Infirmary Road is somewhat palatable, but building that same size structure here in town to keep businesses flourishing downtown, to keep the citizens able to access the other things they need is not palatable. But if you want me to look at this, I'm happy to spend some time to do that. It's not gonna change the space that we need.
Absolutely. We do know that.
So what's the plan?
Mike, I'll let you speak.
Well, first of all, it's not a hearing. It's a public open meeting to discuss.
Sure.
Secondly, I think we all have to come to Jesus with some of the issues that the entire county has. I was obviously just made aware of your situation a year ago when I came on board, and I get it, I understand. But I also look at what it's gonna cost for any kind of construction, whether it's a build on to Infirmary Road or whatever. Economically, I don't think the county or anybody, quite frankly, is prepared to do that right now. I mean, we had an annex building, might not have been great, but when I started in 1976 in this county working, there were 3 judges in that building. That was an option. It's not like some of us haven't been looking. I mean, I've been spinning wheels trying to find a place, making phone calls, calling Tony, calling Sabrina, calling Tony, and saying, "Hey, when you get a chance, here's this address. Take a look."
Despite your best efforts, you've not been able to find anything.
I'm a loser.
You're not a loser. You're not a loser.
I'm a
It's
loser.
just, I mean, I appreciate the efforts that folks have made to try to find a space. I have to tell you though, at some point in time, you just gotta say we've exhausted all of our efforts to try to find something, and I don't know how long you expect the court to wait, because someone's gonna get hurt.
Well, and if anybody knows that, it would be me.
Yep.
I've been through those and have been certified as a court security. I've looked at courtrooms throughout the entire state, actually throughout the United States.
So do you think my court's safe?
For safety. Well, let's take half of your office and open up your court a little bit. And I mean, there's
Where,
options.
where should I put those people? I've already got staff in a room
Well-
that's 6x7.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know that I can split that room in half.
I get it, Judge, and
Where am
I
I supposed
know
to put
that
'em?
everyone here gets it. I just don't know if now is the time, in my tenure here, to ask our residents, are you willing right now to build this court system and take the funds from you? Not you and not me, but all of us. Because it's gonna affect the entire county. ARPA funds were awesome.
They're gone.
They're gone.
They could have been used to fund this
Well,
project.
that was here before me, so
That may
I
have been
don't
here
know.
before you. But ARPA funds were here, significant enough to have definitely paid for the one process, and
It could have, and nothing else would have been done except that one project. We
how
had
much-
$30 million.
Right, so the add-on over the courthouse and the,
It was about 10 to
part-
12 million.
so it wouldn't have taken all
Yeah.
of it. So folks, I do appreciate your time here today. If there's a viable option that you want to give me, option number one, I hope that I have addressed
Dispelled it.
why that would not work.
Yeah.
If at any point in time, there's an option, I'm willing to receive a phone call and not come to this type of a venue, unless you like this type of a public venue for me, which I'm fine
No.
appearing in.
No,
But the
these
phone
are
does ring.
things that are happening. Nobody attempted to ambush a judge at all.
No.
We've been thinking, and these two options are just last week that we started thinking about. And Michelle
Today's
typed this up.
Thursday, Tony.
I knew
Today's
that.
Thursday.
This was not meant to ambush Judge Leto.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you,
May I have a
Judge.
copy of the journal entry approving fees?
Oh, and you know what? I would like to just recap
I
something
will
with
leave
Judge
that one
Stiletto.
right
I take offense that you think that we sit here and don't do anything to help come up with a solution with you. Our staff, the three commissioners, we have all spent hours trying to come up with a solution, including these two options. And I mean, I know you think, because it gets back to us, that Tony and I are just absolutely not on board, and that's not it. That's why the three of us agreed to present these options to you to take and think about. It gets very frustrating to us that we try to, but it's not just, well, I can make this work, or maybe we can compromise here. It's just flat out, no, it's not. This report is a recommendation. It's not, you have to do this.
What is that report you have in your hand?
I am looking
Is that the
at
National Center for State
The
Courts?
space
Yeah.
requirements plan?
Sure.
It's a recommendation, Judge.
It is a space needs safety recommendation. You are correct.
Yeah.
It is not a court order.
Okay. Well, I just want to clarify that for the record. When they say 33,000, I mean, that's a lot of space, and I get it. But we also have fiduciary and financial obligations to the citizens of Portage County.
You do.
So we are trying, that's why the option number 2, instead of spending $250,000 plus to buy a building to tear down,
That's not what I
We-
presented to you.
well, okay, but we know what the building that you were looking at, you were talking about buying Jack Cole's strip building and then going over. No, that was an option. Where do you think the tunnel was gonna go to?
Thank you. So
So-
actually, that was something, Sabrina,
Okay,
in 2021 we talked about, remember? We
Mhm.
talked about maybe a bridge going over,
Over.
and that was,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never thought that was a good idea, because having an aerial suspended bridge was not a good idea.
Yeah.
But Tony, at the last time I met, you said, wouldn't it be great if you could
I
somehow,
still like that idea, but
you could connect
yeah.
it? My position is that the county's best resources are constructing on land it owns.
Yeah.
Jack Cole called me to say he's selling his
He
property.
called me too.
Yeah.
I conveyed the information.
recently, wasn't it? Recently.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think just
recently.
before he did, he called you.
That is
Yeah.
not something I am.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about that,
Yeah.
but Sabrina, make no mistake, I don't think you should go buy land to go build a building on, because you own land that is particularly situated to make a government corridor for this county. And I am more than happy to sit down with each and every one of you individually to speak. I made that request. I was declined by you, Sabrina. And Tony, I don't know if you were available or if I was declined by you. So there's no sneaking around. I'm a pretty upfront person.
For land,
And
the
so-
parking lot, that F lot, I did decline that.
Oh, I just wanted to sit down and have a
absolutely.
conversation, but I was declined a conversation with any of you individually.
Well, wait, I met with you.
I was declined an invitation to sit down with you, Sabrina, and you, Tony. Mike, you did sit down with me. And folks, how would I know?
But we
what you're
all
doing?
three need to hear the same thing.
That's fine.
Because that's why we have you come in here, because one person understands this, and it's like, and then you wanna call, and really, we're not supposed to really do round robin. We need to all three hear it, so there's no misinterpretation that Tony and Sabrina are not on board with getting you something, because that's not the truth. We don't spend hours, our staff does not spend hours looking for a palatable solution for you to come in here and say, we just have not been doing anything. You haven't heard for weeks. It takes time, Judge.
Oh,
These are not.
This is 4 years. I think I've
Judge,
given you
and
ample
what did I
time.
tell you? When we first, I said, Judge, this will take years to figure out a solution. And you didn't want to hear it. You said 18 months. I'm like, Judge, we're doing a renovation out there it took us 5 years to add a pod onto the jail that already was set up to add on to.
Sabrina, that's not what I said. I said
Okay.
if you wanted to do the construction on the build out that we did the feasibility study on, that would have taken 18 months. The search mission, I don't know how long your search mission will take. It's already taken over 4 years. If you committed to build on, build out, we can't build up, build someplace else, that process will take however long it takes. But you have to make a decision, or you won't make a decision, and I guess whatever happens next. So I do appreciate your time. To the extent that you have given me a proposal today about building out
It's a
on
possibility.
Infirmary
It's a
Road.
possibility.
That's all it is. We
Sure.
haven't researched it or anything. That's a possibility.
What do you need from me? Anything else?
At this moment, I don't need anything.
I believe I've given you everything you asked
Yes,
for.
you have.
Yeah.
Yes, you have, ma'am.
I guess what we need from you is to look over option number 2
What?
and let us know where you're at, because these are the options that we have today that we feel that we can afford, that we can work with, and have you think how we can make one of these options. Obviously, option 1 you're saying is off the table.
For the reasons that I've
Option
already
2.
told you.
And option 2,
Option 2 is confusing to me because
Okay.
it sounds like you are, I guess I'd like some more information. It sounds like you're willing to build a facility, just not, almost identical facility as I have been asking for the court in downtown Ravenna, but have it out at Infirmary Road. The spatial needs won't change, folks.
And that
So
adds to.
that won't change
Yeah.
wherever
No
it's
doubt,
logistically
and it adds to other
loaded.
problems.
and it's not
if we
just
did
your
that.
court,
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
you. Judge
yeah.
Smith too, out
But-
there for the family.
But it
court
adds a
and
much.
stuff.
We are not a
issues to that.
family court
Okay.
by statute.
Okay.
It is a juvenile court, it is a probate court, and it is a domestic court. If you want to house those 3 functions of a court within the same building, like we have community court and domestic court and probate court and whoever else I'm missing, downtown Ravenna, with one main lobby, that's fine. But just, I mean, for clarification purposes, we are not by statute a family court.
Correct.
So is your concept to have one main entrance and then have?
I don't know, we're not there yet. Like I said, this is just an option, and then we would explore it if you were interested, so.
I guess I'd need to know more.
So do we. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Be well.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Jackie, good morning.
No, that's the general.
This is an email that I got from Sarah yesterday.
Well, I mean, this is, right, this is.
I'm sorry.
Or do you want just some?
I'm here to
Stand corrected, Tammy.
All right.
Yes.
I have, my glasses are upside down today, so, go ahead, what you got?
Oh, we got
You
an
need an
executive
executive
session. Okay.
Okay.
In accordance accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22G4, the Board of Commissioners moves into executive session to discuss reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So let me in the back row with you.
Ma'am.
We're having everybody
Oh, I'm sorry.
step out.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
make a motion to come out of executive session.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Is there any action?
No action.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
I will make a motion.
She's gonna read a resolution.
Yes. I'll make a motion
Upside
to
down.
approve resolution to accept and enter into a successor collective bargaining agreement between the Portage County Board of Commissioners and the Teamsters Local Union number 436 for employees in the office of the Portage County Building Department and Floodplain Administration.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you so much.
Jackie, I'll try this again.
Okay, my turn now?
Yeah. Get us back on track here.
All right. So I have 2 discussion items this morning. First is regarding the revolving loan funds that the board committed to Ravenna 7 movies. Between years 6 and 7 of the loan, there's an opportunity to renegotiate the terms, so that's where we are right now.
Okay.
Currently, we charge interest on 25% of their excess cash, but what the renegotiation would be too is a 0% due on sale and an actual permanent loan, which should be more in line with the other loans
That we
that
have.
we have.
Yeah.
And I asked Jen to be here just in case you had
And
any
how much was
questions.
our
Lauren.
original loan to them? Was it 500,000?
1.2.
Oh, 1.2? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, yours was 500.
No, ours was 500. I think the city was, yeah,
1.2.
the city.
And we are doing the same with the city, so that everything is consistent.
So if we want to move forward with the renegotiation of the terms, I can bring a journal entry next week, if
That'd be
that's what
good.
you want to do.
Please.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the second item is regarding the ARPA funds that we awarded to the Portage County local food pantries. That was back in the summer of 2023. So it's been about a year and a half, and we're kind of assessing how the food pantries have spent their money. And some of them have done well, but some of them I think are a little slower on the spending and reimbursement. And our thought was it might be because it's an administrative burden on them because they have to front the money. A lot of them are made up of volunteers.
Right, that was a problem right off the bat.
So, yeah, between fronting the money and then collecting receipts and turning in invoices, and a lot of these are run by volunteers.
Yeah.
They may be having some administrative just challenges, to get all that done.
So in order to not return money back for ARPA that we haven't used, we can utilize it through the Akron Canton Food Bank.
So, yeah, that was our thought. So, and I invited Colleen Benson. She was good enough to be
Colleen.
with us from
Hi,
Akron.
Colleen.
And just to clarify, the food that would be bought there would be free to our food pantries if they go to the Akron Canton?
So, yeah, the way we're
Okay.
envisioning it to work, and we've had a preliminary discussion with them, is that if the food pantry would elect to do this, they would return their award to us,
Mhm.
and that award would go to the food bank.
Yeah.
And then they would keep track of the award and have credit, like food credits. So then the food pantry could
Go there.
go there to get the food, but the administrative burden comes off of them. The paperwork, all of that comes off of the food pantry.
How come we didn't think of this a year and a half ago?
I think we discussed it,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it was
was
one
a
of many
discussion.
discussions that we had, yeah.
Yes.
We do it frequently with other funds, like with our EFS funds in Summit County, and it does take the burden off. The agencies don't have to worry about paperwork, about reimbursement. They simply get a food credit on their account,
Mhm.
spend the money, and then we do all the tracking, and then we work with the agency on all the reporting and everything. So
That's
that's
a win-win.
exactly how we would do it.
Yep.
And I'm so excited, speaking of the Akron Food Bank, that you have these pop-up pantries.
Yeah.
So I hear, and I was communicating with Dan the other day,
Yeah.
that I was very thankful that we
Yeah.
have those now.
3 in Portage County, yeah,
Yeah.
we're proud of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So then, I think the next steps would be to communicate with the food pantries,
Mhm.
see what their plan is, what they would like to do, what their decision is, and if they want to keep their funds and continue doing what they're doing, if they feel they're capable of managing it, they can do that, but if they want to return their award to us, then, we would, have a contract with the food bank with the total of whoever gives back their funding. We could pool that and have
And
a
then we could
contract
do
with the
it
food
there.
bank.
There were 16 or 18?
12.
12?
Mhm.
And how many of them would fall under possibly doing this?
I don't know, some of them, even though they're doing well administratively, they may elect to take this burden off of them, so it's
Like the
kinda hard to
birdie
tell.
bags, they were really running through their ARPA funds. So my question there is, would we take a look at maybe giving them more money, cause they are able to utilize it, and they are, and then return some back? I'm just asking, because they have been able to really utilize it, and they have the accounting, they have the paperwork and stuff in.
Okay.
Is that not correct, Jackie, with the birdie bags?
They are, yeah, there's several of them that are doing well and spending the money and,
Okay.
I just want that to be a thought, because they are ones that actually, and they were running through it pretty fast, cause remember, Community Action Council offered to give their allocation to them because of the need, and they've added more schools that they cover.
so what we could do is start the communication with
Yep.
them
Yeah.
and see how they're
I just wanted
doing and
to, I just remembered that, so.
okay, yeah, so we'll communicate with them and then we can bring an update as far as
That'd be good.
how we wanna move forward and how we're gonna reallocate funds.
So once we decide to do that, that could happen very quickly.
Or
Yeah.
maybe they come through you,
Yeah.
so it'd be easier to.
Yeah, I
you
mean, I
know?
think once we have a contract, we can set up food credits, you know, within a few days,
Mhm.
and they can
Yeah.
immediately start using funds.
No,
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
no overlap of slow. We can immediately transition from one to the other. Okay,
Very good.
all right.
Isn't a great majority of where they purchase their food from the food bank, the birdie packs, or am I confusing them with someone else?
I think it's family
Just so it'd
community, family community.
Easy for them,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice transition, but absolutely, let's reach out.
But there is a lot, when we get the backup
Yeah.
documentation for the
Yeah.
invoices,
I
a
mean,
lot of it is
Yeah.
They do a
purchased.
great
Yeah,
job.
yes,
They're
yeah.
From them
They're doing a
anyways.
lot
Very
more.
nice organization,
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have any comments on the journal entries or resolutions?
No, I don't think so.
All right. In accordance with section 305.30K of the Ohio Revised Code, and this board's resolution 21-0396 and this board's resolution 21-0878, the Board of Commissioners acknowledges and approves the county administrator's approval too. I'll make a motion to direct the auditor's office to pay process the November 7th, 2024 bills, ACH payments, wires, journal vouchers, and then and nows as applicable, contingent upon the verification of the reports as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes?
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to process the November 7th, 2024 budget amendments as reviewed and recommended by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes?
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Okay, on to resolutions. I'll make a motion to cash advance repayment from Fund 5511, Portage County Water H2O Manaway Plant Conversion to Fund 5400, Portage County Water General Administration.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes?
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to create Fund 5514, Portage County Water Rootstown Storage Tank Improvements for Portage County Water Resources Department.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes?
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to create Fund 5490, Portage County Water 23070 EPA WSLA for Portage County Water Resources Department.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to transfer from Fund 10001, Certificate of Title Administration Fund, to Fund 0001, General Fund.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to authorize grant application for the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services 2024 Body Worn Camera Grant Program on behalf of the Portage County Sheriff's Office.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie. We're to the development board.
Development Board.
Yeah, you guys want to
Brett-
start?
Brett,
We're ahead of schedule. Is everyone here?
Yeah, we have one more coming.
Okay.
But we could,
All right. Go ahead and we'll give it a couple of minutes. Go ahead and do miscellaneous.
Okay. I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners acknowledge receipt of the kennel disposition report and intake report for October 28th, 2024 through November 3rd, 2024 as presented by the Chief Dog Warden Dave McIntyre.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners gives Regional Planning permission to submit a pre-application for a residential public infrastructure grant for sewer repair project in Village of Manaway.
Second,
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners approves the county holiday observation schedule for the year 2025.
Second?
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes. So we usually have more than 30 seconds worth of those.
Do we have any public comment yet coming for?
You know, I'm gonna do this out of order. I know that there is somebody here talking about this subject matter. So if you'd like to, before they do go, give what your thoughts are.
Okay.
Introduce yourself and who you are.
My name is James McKee. I'm adjacent to Woolwin's property there. We've been a resident there in Brimfield Township, Portage County, for coming up on 60 years. And at this time, I don't believe an abatement for Mr. Woolwin would be the correct thing to do. I believe that the money should go towards Field School District. After talking to teachers, school board, and educators in Portage County, they believe that all the money needs to go to them. Because right now, there's an increase of Napoli people coming into the area, so they can't speak English very well. So there's more attention needed to be placed there, and that needs more tax dollars. Also, starting out with zoning several years ago, the distance for my side setback was 100 feet. So my property was originally zoned office research. And then they
The
wanted to change.
property next door to you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm included in that.
Okay.
It was all office research. Then they wanted to change it to light industrial. So they went through a process, it got changed to light industrial, which I did not want, and at that point in time, the side setback was 100 feet. So that meant that they had to be 100 feet off of the property line to put up a building. Shortly thereafter, 3 months or so, it went down to 75 feet. Then within a year, it went down to 25 feet
What's 25 feet?
off of my side setback. So now they can build a building 25 feet off of my property line, which is very, very close. I have a photo here to a property that's, 3/10 of a mile away. It's zoned exactly as I'm zoned, light industrial, and they were afforded a sound dampening wall, which is 12 to 15 feet high, which would eliminate any type of construction noise. The backup beepers with like
The trucks
track
and stuff?
hose and dump
Yeah, yeah.
trucks. And I requested that, but I was not given that. I was denied that opportunity.
Thank you.
The person that was accepted, they don't look like me. They're different.
Mr. McGee, I've been out there to look at the building. It's more than 25 feet from your property line. Is that not correct?
The first one, yes, then there's gonna be a second one, and then a third one. That's what I'm trying to protect against, is the third one coming up being closer than what was originally stated to me as 100 feet.
Okay.
And with the construction equipment that's gonna be going in there, they have the tall 10-foot doors, it's warehouse zoned. I don't wanna have all that noise, and I would like to get, like those pictures you just saw, which Helmling put up that wall for the neighbors there to decrease sound. That's what I would like. And I would like that distance to be greater than the 25 feet, because that's really, really close. I mean, how would you guys like it if you had been there for 60 years and now it's got rezoned to a commercial building and they could put a building up 25 feet from you?
So you could feasibly, if it's a warehouse, they're what, about 30 feet tall, 25 feet tall? So you could feasibly wake up one day and have a 25-foot wall 25 feet from your property?
Yes.
Mike, you're here.
Yeah,
Zoning
yeah,
inspector's
to speak on
here.
that, we have our attorney coming as well,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Jimmy McKee is represented by an attorney. We put our attorney, they've been going back and forth, we have not heard a reply since the last time our attorney has spoken to theirs. So I'd like our attorney to speak on that.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
I can tell you that the zoning all conforms. His zoning was commercial to start. The
Whose
same
zoning
ba-
was commercial?
Office research.
Okay.
Office
Okay.
research was commercial and
Mhm.
allowed for similar uses.
Mhm.
So we, in merging districts, this one went into light industrial. virtually almost the same, same things as OR. So we moved basically all the OR uses into light industrial because they were similar. The property he's talking about down the street with the mounding was a different zoning at the time, because it allowed for uses not covered could come before the Board of Zoning Appeals and they can put things on there. So there was residential homes across the street from Hemling Excavating is the business he's talking about. At the time, there was something in the code called uses not covered. You could come to the board with a use that's actually not covered within your district, and then they put provisions on there. For example, this is an excavating company. They've owned it for years, they operated a trucking company out of there, but they came in and wanted to put their building there. So the Board of Zoning Appeals came in and says, we're gonna put conditions on it. We're gonna do mounding, we're gonna do a fence, because this is not one of the uses within the zoning code.
I'm sorry, if I
In
could
this-
just
So
interject
what,
for
no,
a
go
second.
ahead, let him
In
finish.
this
Okay.
particular case, an engineering firm is in there, it's not covered under, use is not covered, it's in the code for light industrial. It would have been in the code for OR. So there's no, regardless of whether it was OR or LI, this business has a permitted use to go in there.
Okay.
So that's the one you said, the example with the mound, is this, so forgive me, I just want.
Totally separate issue.
Okay,
Well,
so,
if
so
I-
let me finish my thought, cause I'm
I'm
old
sorry.
and I'll lose it.
Don't forget.
It's, so, the thought process of the 100 feet, Mike, and this is, I guess, for you, cause you've answered it. I have 100 feet between my property line and your property line, and 100 feet that says, we're not gonna build anything. How does it go from 100 feet to 25 feet?
The
Is like,
zoning
am I
set-
building a house next door, or?
The zoning setbacks have not changed, so that's my point.
Who
Within
changed
the-
them?
Within the code, we did not change the codes,
Mhm.
and our attorney can speak on everything.
Yeah, so,
If I could.
Go ahead,
speak-
no,
yeah.
before we go.
Yeah, with the property with Helmling, there was a swamp there. So with that being an excavating company, they kind of dug a little ditch down and the water drained out. They hadn't been there for years at the time. They had recently put the building up. And there was a lot of noise coming from there. And with that, people were complaining and they wanted that sound barrier
So
to
then
go
we're
up.
not talking about your property, we're talking about something else that
Yeah,
exists.
With the,
Let's talk about
with the
yours.
example that
Yeah.
I showed you with the pictures.
Okay, but I'm concerned, my concern is you saying that I had 100 feet when this started, and
And
now
now
we're
it's
down
down
to
to
25 feet.
So-
That's
This
the.
zoning has been in place so the commercial zoning has been in place as far back as I can know, all the way to 2004.
Mhm.
And then when it switched over to light industrial, I wanna say it's been about 3 years now. So this is, we're not talking about we just changed zoning last
Okay.
month. This has been it went through the due diligence of public hearings. Mr. McKee was at those public hearings, spoke to the zoning commission, spoke to the trustees. It still got voted in to go from OR to
And when was
LI.
that, when was that?
That
I
was
wanna say
approximately
3
2
years
years
2 years
ago.
ago, okay.
But that was their negotiating point, because 75 feet was the setback for office research.
Mhm.
Light industrial, it was 100 feet.
Okay.
So then after that got passed, shortly thereafter, it went down to 75 feet, and now as of current, it's down to 25 feet.
and that's just not correct.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
only provision, and Mark
Good.
Getty, nice
Thank
to
you.
see you this morning, Commissioners.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
Rainey?
So the only provision in the township zoning resolution that I think Mr. McKee is indicating, which by the way, Mr. McKee doesn't own the property. Dorothy McKee is the property owner. Mr. McKee does not own property.
It's his family.
There's a
owns it.
POA
Yeah,
in
okay.
place,
Okay,
so
okay, got it.
I can make all the decisions on it. I mean, he's been questioning the
Okay.
authenticity
All right.
of the POA.
Okay, I
and
got
No,
that.
I'm just
Could
sticking to
finish
the
it.
facts.
Go ahead.
I'm just sticking to the
Okay. Yeah,
facts. Mr. McKee doesn't own any
Right.
property in the township.
Got it.
There is a provision in the township zoning resolution that provides for a 25-foot setback if the adjacent property is residential, which as Mr. Ladd just indicated, it's light industrial, it's not residential.
So the house that he's talking about is zone light industrial?
Correct.
Oh, how did that happen?
That happened way before our time. I wanna say it dates back 2000, early 2000s.
No. It was office research, not light industrial.
Correct, that which is a commercial district.
The question is about how is there a residential
There.
use on that parcel?
Yeah.
And that goes way back, as Mr. Ladd indicated.
So it's a non-conforming use allowed to exist within a light industrial district.
So,
Right?
yeah,
Mike, let me ask you this. I read all the paperwork and kind of looked at it, and as Sabrina, I went out and looked at it. Haven't they owned this property since?
60 years, he said?
It was built in 1968.
But haven't Walland owned it since 90?
No.
Can I respond?
Go ahead,
Go
good,
ahead,
please.
Mr. Will.
Good morning, everyone. Mike Woolwin, Woolwin Engineering and Woolwin Properties. We purchased the property in early 2024, early January. We bought it based on the current codes. We have not asked for any variances. We relied on the current zoning codes when we purchased that property, and we've developed it in accordance with those regulations. So all this discussion about what happened before we purchased the property, in my mind, is not pertinent. It's just not. We're meeting all the zoning codes. We've asked for no variances. All the uses that will be in those buildings,
Yes,
the building currently, as well as any potential future buildings that are currently undetermined, would all follow the zoning codes. So we're not asking for any variances, any
And
deviations.
we get that, and my confusion's coming into, this stuff was in 1990 is when.
That's what I got
That's what it-
confused with, was
that's
when this was
there.
adopted.
And then this house is built in 68.
October of 90.
So that we're saying because his house is there, and they changed the rules, it's not your fault.
They changed the zoning.
They changed the township changed the zoning. That's where my confusion is. I've got a house here, been there since 68, so that's a 50-some years, that's 60 years that it's been sitting there. And when the township changed the rules, that now I can build a office building or light industrial right next to you, that's where my confusion's coming in for the homeowner.
So the home exists essentially as a prior legal non-conforming use, so that use is still permitted. Obviously not gonna come in and boot somebody out for making residential use of the property, as long as they continue that use. You know, there's a provision in the township zoning resolution, I believe if it ceases for more than 6 months, then
Right.
that prior legal
It reverts
terminates.
back to the current.
Right, but the times when the zoning was modified or amended, there is obviously an objection process for that, the ability to challenge that in court. That did not occur by, as far as I know, anybody, but certainly not Dorothy McKee that owns the property. So there was an opportunity to challenge it, it wasn't challenged, notice went out, everybody was properly notified pursuant to law.
Well, let me just say,
That
my
did not-
mother
Let
is
him finish,
legally
please.
blind.
Let him finish, please.
Okay.
That did not occur. And I guess if I could just take a step back for a second and look at the big picture of why we're here today. The commissioners are considering, you know, whether or not this enterprise zone agreement should be approved pursuant to an enterprise zone that's existed since 1990. Mr. McKee is focusing on local township issues that aren't really a factor to consider in whether or not to grant the enterprise zone application.
Well, I guess I do live in the county, and my mother's legally blind, so that has a strong effect in regards to her seeing these documents being put in the paper for public opinion or public notices and things like that.
Okay. Do you live in this home?
Yes, I am the POA there, but the attorney here questions the authenticity of the POA.
That's not true.
And
I've
we're not gonna
never done
question
once.
that.
Never done that.
You've been there for
Yes,
several years, lived with your mom.
yes.
And you didn't see any of these things he's speaking of?
I didn't see the public notice,
Okay.
but I've been to meetings.
Yeah, Mr. McKee's attended many meetings. I should note that the township, and Mr. McKee does have an attorney, by the way. I've been communicating with his attorney, I think, since June. The last correspondence that I sent to Mr. McKee's attorney, who is Attorney Brian Williams, was 2 months ago. And I went through, I mean, it was a 4-page, essentially an opinion that I gave him responding to each of the local zoning questions that they raised. And I explained piece by piece, here's what the township zoning resolution specifies. You don't provide a basis, a sound basis for any of your requests, and here's what the zoning resolution provides. You know, the law is the law, essentially. So there was no response, and it's been 2 months since I sent that letter. And again, these are local issues that are being addressed locally or have been addressed locally. This application that is before the commissioners, the townships reviewed it. It meets the requirements of a enterprise zone agreement under the law. It's for the threshold that's explicitly authorized by law.
Right.
10 years, 60%.
Yeah, we got that part.
Yeah, so, you know, all those points are met for purposes of
Yeah,
today.
and my only concern as a commissioner in Portage County is that I'd be kind of annoyed too if somebody said I could build 25 feet from your property line, and I could build a house, or build a building, or whatever the heck you're gonna build. That's my concern about the resident of Brimfield and Brimfield trustees here, and that's what my concern is that, well, you've got that, even though we have this waiver been there for a long time. We actually made decisions that anybody could build whatever it is that is zoned for that to 25 feet from person's property line. That kind of grates on my nerves.
I believe I have a document that states that it was 75 feet prior. They're saying that that didn't exist, but I believe I might have that
You
down.
haven't given them that document yet?
So,
They would know that it's there, but I believe it's down in my car,
Okay.
so I could bring it up.
Okay.
if I may speak to this?
Please.
So when a zoning changes, let me go through this process briefly so
Right.
you understand how this happens. It gets initiated by the zoning commission or an applicant, okay? In this case, going from OR to LI was brought to the township by the applicant of the property. They came in and requested a zoning change formally, which is pursuant to our zoning code. They went through this, we had public hearings prior to open it up to the public. The meeting Jimmy McKee was at, there was quite a few attendants. All of the residents came within this area. At least to my knowledge, it was the majority. At these public hearings, everybody has a right to speak, concerned about the property lines, concerned about the zoning. At this meeting, the zoning commission changed everything they were planning to do in this area because they listened to the majority of the residents at the meeting. They wanted agriculture locked in across the street, we did it. They wanted a proper zoning for residential homes, they did it. This area that he's talking about is completely surrounded with light industrial. Completely.
It's got that new
behind
industrial
it,
park right in the back.
Yeah, and all around it,
Of the
except
how.
for the agriculture area,
But that's
is
Talmadge.
zoned light industrial.
Okay.
So we had the public hearings, and the zoning commission is made up of a member of 5 residents and 2 alternates. They listened to this, had the public hearing, sent it off to regional planning at the county level to discuss this and to give feedback back to the zoning commission. It unanimously was approved at regional planning commission. Regional planning sends their staff recommendations back to the zoning commission. The zoning commission votes on this and still listens to the public at this meeting. They try to appease the majority of people, not the minority. So then, at that point, they take that to the trustee level. Once again, we hold a public hearing and notify everybody, send it into the paper. We go one step above and beyond at Brimfield. We send actual paper notices to the residents 500 feet surrounding this property. They have that, the newspaper, and of course, our trustee meetings are televised. So they're on YouTube. We have a public hearing and the trustees listen to all the concerns of the residents. At this point in time, 90% of the residents were appeased at the zoning commission level. And then we have a few at the trustee level that are still upset, but it's the minority of the group of what they wanted. The trustees I don't wanna say unanimously, the trustees approved, I'm not so sure, I don't wanna say.
It was not unanimous.
The trustees did approve this, and it went forward. Then there's a 30-day period that they have a right per code. Anybody that objects to this has a right to take this to the courts and appeal this. No appeal was made within those 30 days. It became into law. That was 2 years ago or 3 years. So this whole process you're talking about with the 25 feet, I agree with you. I think everybody has a right to, just like you have an opinion, hey, this doesn't sound right. We rely on regional planning for those setbacks. We don't just make those up. we rely on the county to do that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much, when Todd Peets does this at regional planning, it's pretty much uniform throughout the township. Brimfield is not special in their.
Happens to all of them.
He gives us a standard and said, this is pretty typical for our area, this is what we do. And then we just accept that and say, okay, he's the professional, he's the planner, he's certified, we'll take his advice and we'll vote out for that.
If I could, in
No,
regards
one
to
second,
one of the meetings.
gentlemen, sir.
Yeah, Mike Woolman again. I would just like to state for the record that I've tried to have multiple conversations with Mr. McKee. We spoke very early on when I was walking the property. I had a face-to-face conversation with him lasting probably a half an hour a couple of months ago. I've been trying to address his concerns. I put up a fence from day one to address his concerns before we built anything. That was not required that early in the process, so I spent the money to put a fence up. I was happy to do that.
No.
Mike, let him speak, please.
As soon as I put the fence up, I got a letter from his attorney concerning, now they're concerned about trees overhanging the new fence, which was not stated previously. I reached out, tried to discuss the trees, how can I help take the trees down to alleviate your concerns? I get a letter back from the attorney, now there's new concerns. So, in my opinion, I'm trying to do everything I can to appease a neighbor. I'm building hundreds and hundreds of feet away from currently. And I feel like I've done my best to appease him at this point.
Well, we're,
I have
If I-
one more
if I
comment,
could,
because there
before-
was something
if I-
mentioned about,
One moment.
there was
If I
something
could.
mentioned about, and I want my attorney to, there was something mentioned about that Jimmy McKee says that he felt that he was being treated differently because he's not the same as other people. I don't know what he's discussing or what he's trying to get at with that.
Okay.
But the other thing is the schools. This issue as an enterprise zone agreement, it's a requirement we notify the schools.
Mhm.
And the schools have a right to appeal, say no, say whatever they want to. That's part of this process. And then I speak monthly with the superintendent, and I meet with the superintendent monthly. He is completely happy. He has specifically called me on the enterprise zone agreement and is happy that another business is coming in, because at least he's getting 40% more of
Than he
the
had before.
taxes
yeah, because of the value
based off of
on the
vacant land.
improvement.
And the improvement, that's correct.
Right.
Okay,
Very good.
but we're here to talk about the enterprise
Yeah,
zone,
yeah.
and I think that's
And
where
that-
we
that
need to
is.
If I
stick
could
to.
just say one more
You-
thing,
one-
since
one
he,
last thing.
yeah, since he went back. There was a gentleman that was on the zoning commission, and I put this on public record. When I was 16 years old, his daughter was in a car backing out, hits my car. I take estimates over to his house, he's there. He says he's not paying for the damages. Used a derogatory term to me, and which I think you all know, with me being the minority in this group here today, what he said to me. I said that on public record, and I said that that was a conflict of interest from him being on that group. And that was the
Okay.
zoning commission.
Alright.
So that's
Okay.
what Mike Ladd is
Okay,
discussing and
alright.
talking
But
about.
we
Okay.
need to stick
We're
to
gonna
the
go back to
enterprise
this
zone
subject
right
matter.
now.
We gave that, so I appreciate you coming in
Yes.
and giving us that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Brad, did you wanna speak to
Thank
the
you.
enterprise zone?
Morning, Brad.
Morning. Thank you for your time this morning. This morning, we are presenting a enterprise zone agreement to the Board of Commissioners. And I would like to also call on Mike from Woolwin and also Mike Ladd from the township to come on up, to grab one of those seats and come on up.
You pull one of the other chairs up if you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hi.
Morning, morning.
As you've all heard about we've gone over the details of what the
Yes.
agreement will be. What I think I'd like to start off with is, Mike, would you talk a little bit about what you guys are doing and what you're planning to do at the site?
Sure, so we're, the property is owned by Woolwin Properties, it's our personal real estate business. The goal of this is to build a new structure, which it seems like some of you have seen. Very proud of it, happy with how it looks so far. It's going to be a multi-tenant building. In that building, we will be moving our engineering business there, currently in Brimfield on Clark Industrial Parkway. We've been in business about 14 years now, plus or minus a few months. So have been growing, been successful, done a lot of work in the county and in the township, and proud of that work. Glad to be staying in Brimfield. This is gonna let us grow, and as well as, with the size of the property, it's gonna let us have some extra new businesses start there as well. So it's not just gonna create jobs in my engineering business, but it'll hopefully foster and bring more small businesses in. It's important to me as an entrepreneur to give people that opportunity to start new businesses. And I think this type of building that we're putting up is going to help facilitate that, so very proud of it.
So the idea is you have your operation go in there now and then to add eventually one or two buildings.
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
Very good. And again, this is a type of business that we are looking to try to get into the community. They have worked with Jobs Ohio, and they've received a Jobs Ohio small business grant. This is an engineering company with some really good payroll here, and I think this is in the Joint Economic Development District with Talmadge.
It's in our JED with Talmadge, correct.
Yeah, okay. That's who the JED is with, Brimfield?
We have, half of
Yeah,
our
3?
community is with Talmadge and half is with Kent.
Kent, okay.
But the majority of our businesses are in Talmadge.
Okay.
Yeah. And so today we're coming before the Board of Commissioners to request approval of a 60% 10-year property tax abatement. This is actually pretty much consistent policy with the township. Both Kenda Tire and Hamrick Packaging, which we recently have worked on,
Correct.
have received such a thing. And as has been pointed out, 40% of the taxes are going to the respective taxing bodies. And again, that's taxes that had not been available
Well,
before.
not only that, but you're actually gaining more taxes because you did it on the land versus the new construction. So
Correct.
that'll still be taxed, it's just the land that will have the abatement.
Well, the building will have the
Building.
abatement.
Yeah, or the building.
The- The improvement.
I remember these growing issues 35 years ago in Aurora, as they were given tax abatements in the Streetsboro. So, interesting.
So we are under, the whole township is under an enterprise zone agreement. It's not limited areas. We do
Yeah.
have a CRA area as well as we offer TIFs. But these economic, I do a dual role. I do economic development and zoning, and I partner with Brad on many projects. Kenda was one, Hamrick's another.
Yeah.
It's crucial to bring police, fire, keep our fire in our ability to have businesses like this within the township to help supply our residents.
And, yeah, these are projects too that have kept businesses in our area as well too, as opposed to going somewhere else where they could start a business.
Okay. Anything else, Mike?
I'm good.
Anything else? All right, gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, and then we'll approve that under Resolution 13, under Internal Services, which is up next.
Hey, Shannon.
Hi there.
Shannon, where's my chair?
It's in your office, sir.
Is it?
It is.
Jesus, new chair, new desk.
I went in this
just
morning and I had
fixed.
no chair.
It's just
Is
fixed,
he
it's not
putting
new.
a fold-down bed in there?
It's gonna stay here.
I got a chair.
You have your bathroom.
Uh,
How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, how are you guys? Okay, I have some project updates.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay, we had our bid opening yesterday for our building here, and parent low came in at 750,000, and that is 150,000 under, and that is with all the alternates.
Wow.
I know, I'm
Nice.
so excited.
Nice.
Jackie did some cartwheels.
Good.
I told her that she would show you later her cartwheels.
Yes, we do. I actually want
I'm
to see it
okay.
now. I want to see it. I gotta laugh.
So just so you know, the auditor's office, so the alternate for the auditor's office was all the LED lights to be replaced, to upgrade for more efficiency and everything, so they're gonna get upgraded that, the same as the 7th floor. So we'll get all, remember, Mike, you were talking about the lighting up here? Your wishes come true, so we're gonna get all that done. Oh, good.
Can't see, I'm getting old.
And then, if you look at page 3, that's also, with the building department as well. So they don't really have an alternate, theirs was just to fix the front area. Also on the 7th floor, the other alternate was to replace those doors that lead to the roof. We're hoping maybe that's part of the leaking issue, they're just gonna be process of elimination with the leaks. They're having a hard time figuring that out. See, there's 2 levels of roofing, and then you have that, so
Can't they
they're
put
gonna,
dye or something there, so,
they don't know where it's coming from.
well, I mean, put
To put
multiple
dye in
places.
there, to even put dye in there. So they don't know if it's a pipe, they don't know if it's gotta be, my belief is it has to be, every time it rains, it shows up a couple days later. But I just noticed today, you got a little right over here, so it's gotta be somewhere from that. So they will figure it out though, so, and we'll work with the contractor too, cause they might have some ideas as well. The tax map, has been complete, and they're gonna be moving in. Maintenance is gonna work with tax map, as a time to move back in. Larry Jenkins was like the 2nd week in December because they have people in and out, so they said.
Wow.
And I talked to Matt Kelly, and they're not gonna be able, he doesn't need that long to move down there anyway, so they were okay with that. If you guys are okay with that, I was fine with it, it didn't matter to me, so.
You got it.
Okay. And then, The juvenile court, on page 5, their final inspection is today for permanent occupancy. So I will let you know, I'll email you when I hear.
You know what?
Yeah.
We had Judge Deletto in here. She included 1.7 million, but I only saw that improvement was 1.2. Did it go over?
We didn't go over. I don't believe we went over.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. Okay. Is that it for
That's all I
A's?
have, and then I have about, I think 13.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'll make a motion. The Board of Commissioners approves the request for qualifications for construction administration and inspection services and setting date and time for acceptance of sealed proposals for the Chen Regional Sewer Improvement Project RV-017-080 in the Portage County Regional Sewer District, Portage County, Ohio.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners accepts and awards contract for project number RV 023-150 Burnwood Pump Station Improvements in the Portage County Regional Sewer District, Richtown Township.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners accepts bids and awards contract for project number MD 021-190 Village of Manaway Wastewater Treatment Plant Headworks and Electrical Improvements for the Village of Manaway Public Sewer System in Portage County.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners approves and authorizes the execution of an amendment to Master Plan Services Backup Agreement with the Oak Group, Inc. for year 2025.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an agreement for random DOT drug testing and alcohol testing services with IEBT on behalf of the Portage County Solid Waste District.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion the Board of Commissioners authorizes the 2025 agreement with Green Board IT LLC for the collection of discarded electronic devices on behalf of the Portage County Solid Waste District.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Commissioners agrees to accept the escrow agreement and payment guarantee for plan review and construction inspection services for Hickory Creek Phase 2 in Broomfield Township.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
And I'll make a motion, the Board of Commissioners agrees to accept the proposal from Answer Advisory and enter into an agreement for providing construction administration services for the Bowling Brook off-site drainage improvements.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Commissioners accepts the contract modification number 1 to the engineering agreement between OHM Advisors and Portage County for providing professional services for the project known as 2024 Roadway Construction Administration Contract.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Commissioners accepts the modification number 1 to the engineering agreement between Quality Control Inspection, Inc., QCI, and Portage County for providing professional services for the project known as 2024 Subdivision Construction Administration Contract.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Commissioners accepts and awards the bid of Northeast Ohio trenching services for the Bowling Brook off-site drainage improvements project in Portage County.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Commissioners authorize and approves the execution of the Wetlands Mitigation Agreement with Wetlands Resource Center LLC.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an agreement with the Rural Enterprise Zone of Brimfield Township, Ohio with Woolwin Properties LLC tax abatement agreement for real property only.
Second.
Roll call.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm gonna recess. Is there anything
Okay,
else?
is there anything else to come right now? Is there any public comment? No? Okay. Board will recess till 11.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, make sure you
Reconvene Board of Commissioners. Cassidy, is there any public comment?
No, there's not.
Anything else to come before the board?
No.
Not, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tony.
Yes.